Tommy Robinson is currently serving an 18-month prison sentence. We already know how screwed up the British justice system is, but this isn't news. Today, we have some big news about Tommy Robinson, as a major twist has emerged. In today's video, we'll be discussing this in detail, while also looking at all the latest news from up and down the country. But first, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Go grab them now, they're available at britishstand.com, or check out the link in the description. I'll be the first to admit that the Reform Party isn't perfect, it's not a magic bullet, nor is it without its flaws. Like anything new and ambitious, it has its challenges, and we'd be remiss to ignore that. But what is undeniable is that it is here, it is ready, and it is actively trying to solve the real problems that we face as a nation. And in times like these, don't we need that? A movement that is ready to move forward, even if the road ahead is difficult. There has been a huge division in recent months after the riots between Tommy Robinson, his supporters, and Nigel Farage, and the Reform Party. I mean, just refresh the quarrel. Protests were held in his name. What do you think of Tommy Robinson? Is he a good man in your eyes? No, all of this, we have nothing to do with them. Well, even the protesters who are holding banners, Tia Kerr. Do you agree with them on policing and justice? We agree with ourselves. I am not aligning myself with Tommy Robinson's lot in any way, shape or form. Okay, but tell me, my thoughts before people say I'm divisive. I had to stand and watch. I'm currently serving 4 years in prison. I'm facing a counter-terrorism charge. I had to sit and watch because Nigel lied to people on TV about these cases. He's told, in fact, he didn't even mention the film I faced 4 years ago. He presents on TV. He has a multi-million-pound contract to be a presenter. That means being a substitute. He didn't open his mouth on a documentary that 51 million of you have seen. 51 million of you. He didn't open his mouth, because Nigel never opens his mouth about difficult things. That's the truth. That's the truth. So, Nigel, when I was detained under counter-terrorism, which I'm going to share a link. I'm going to quote this tweet. Nigel went ahead and said that I wasn't. He said that I wasn't. That I made it up. That I lied. In an interview he said this. Do you know how frustrating it is? Do you know how frustrating it is when you have to call all these issues, and then you get someone who has a purpose? Like, I don't mind Nigel Donald at all, but to constantly kick us, to paint me as an instigator of riots, he shared fake news. He shared that it was a Syrian refugee. He did. And then to try to kick him, he kicks us. He doesn't just kick me, he kicks everyone. However, there's a big twist. As the message from Tommy Robinson in prison has come, Paul Thorpe visited, and Robinson told him, his message was clear. He is asking us, not just individuals, but the wider movement, not to back down from reform or Nigel Farage, at least for now. Tommy firmly believes that the bigger picture, the future of our country, is far more important than any personal differences or disagreements. If we are to regain control at the next general election, reconciliation is needed. We must unite behind reform, see the wider vision, and recognize that there is much more at stake than individual egos or ideologies. Tommy Robinson's official admin team has since reposted this tweet. This is not about perfection. This is about taking the opportunity before us, and backing the efforts to make real change. Reform may not have all the answers, but it's here, and it deserves the chance to try to fix what's broken. What are your thoughts on this, and do you support reform? Let me know in the comments. In other news, an extra 100,000 workers have been dragged into the 60% tax trap over the past year, according to new figures from HM Revenue and Customs. The latest figures show that 885,000 people earning more than £100,000 in the 2024-25 tax year will now lose their full personal allowance. A further 591,000 workers are set to see their tax-free allowance partially reduced. The sharp rise comes as more employees find themselves stuck in frozen tax brackets, with the number of taxpayers affected rising by 18% from 537,000 last year. The tax squeeze is set to intensify, with HMRC predicting that more than 1 million people will be affected by 2027-28. The punitive tax trap kicks in when workers earn more than £100,000, at which point the personal allowance, currently frozen at £12,570, starts to decrease. For every £2 earned over the £100,000 limit, £1 of tax-free allowance is removed. Sean McCann, chartered financial planner at NFU Mutual, said, "If you're earning over £100,000, it comes with a hefty tax bill as you face 60% tax on those earnings. Combined with the 2% national insurance contribution, workers within that band only keep £38 of every £100 they earn." According to HMRC figures released under Freedom of Information laws, around 337,000 taxpayers were affected in 2018-19. The number of taxpayers caught up in this notorious tax trap was already incredibly high, said Mark Ingledon, chief executive of Bowmore Financial Planning. Recent wage inflation has pushed around 100,000 more people into this position. The Office for Budget Responsibility estimates that an extra 8 million taxpayers will be pushed into higher rates of tax because of the freeze. The increase in taxpayers affected is largely due to fiscal drag, where tax brackets remain fixed while wages rise with inflation. McCain explained that if the £100,000 threshold had risen with inflation, it would now be worth £149,000. He said fiscal drag was a great way to raise more revenue while staying true to Labour's promise not to raise tax rates. Strategies to avoid the 60% tax trap. Reducing the impact of the 60% tax requires careful planning around income and tax-saving opportunities. McCain pointed out that taxpayers could use salary sacrifice and charitable giving. Salary sacrifice, he said, can be a very effective way to save tax. An employee earning £125,140 who sacrificed £25,140 in return for an employer pension contribution of the same amount would have a pension cost of £9,554. This would save the employee £15,084 in income tax, which is 60% in NICs, and 2% would be paid. £502. However, potential changes to employer NICs on pension contributions could make such arrangements less attractive in the future, McCann explained. Donations to eligible charities could also qualify for tax relief, effectively reducing their taxable income. Some people may also try bonus and dividend payments. For example, delaying a bonus until the next tax year could prevent them from increasing their current year's income by more than £100,000, thus avoiding the 60% tax trap. A Treasury spokesman said, "We are committed to keeping taxes low for working people, which is why we have protected payrolls from tax increases and are not freezing the personal tax threshold beyond 2027-28. However, Chancellor Rachel Reeves did nothing to ease the burden in her October budget. Instead, she extended the freeze introduced by former Chancellor Jeremy Hunt in 2021 until April 2028. Ingledon said, "It is very surprising that the government has chosen not to address this in the latest budget. The government has allowed the problem to grow rather than try to solve it." What are your thoughts on what we have discussed in today's video? Let me know in the comments section below. If you haven't already, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more.